Yo, what is up, guys? What is poppin'? We are here with my draft recap for the NPL Season 6. Last season we made it to finals and lost because I kind of choked. Definitely was one of um, the most heartbreaking losses I ever had to take because I felt like this was definitely my season. I was like playing so well. I won like 8 matches in a row without ever being in a spot where I could have lost the game. I was like so ahead of everyone else and couldn't pull it off in finals, and I really hated Mons for like a couple of weeks, which definitely also showed in my ITL season where I went 5-5. Really frustrating. Really, I was really mad at myself after this. But obviously we gotta be back. We gotta be back for season 6, and we gotta try to win the chip this time. After like coming so close last season, it's definitely gonna be a rough season this time. Just trying to get back to the point where we were, and it's gonna be hard to play through 12 weeks of regular season just to get back where we are supposed to be, which is in the finals. But um, yeah, um, we got like um, we got like a hot squad this time, and I'm definitely hyped to show it to you. I'm not yet sure if I hate my squad or love it, but I think I will love it because it's pretty cool. um, Pretty cool for sure. We In the NPL we don't randomize the draft order entirely with everyone having the same odds as a for for the number one pick, for example. We do it pretty much like the NBA does it, where we have a weighted lottery. Champion gets the lowest odds to get the highest seed in the draft, and the finals upon the second lowest, and so on. So we have the second lowest chances to get the number one pick or to like get any pick higher than number 15, which is definitely unfortunate because it isn't really a system that like it's a system that punishes winning, which is unfortunate. Like I hadn't picked top 10 in the NPL since season 1, where I picked 7 and we were only 12 teams. I think I drafted number 15 last season, and number 13 before, number 10 before that, and so on. So and obviously last in season 2 because I was the champ. So con- um, being constantly good and winning in this league doesn't get like it gets kind of punished by the draft process, but what can you do? We actually jumped ahead one spot in the draft and got the number 14 pick, but that was pretty much it. Like we didn't get lucky or anything, so yeah, we had to get like had to live with a bad draft spot, but I was able to actually get a trade in with my boy Tyler. He had the number 9 pick and didn't really want anything that was on the board. So I was like, yeah, grab me my mon that I want in 9, and I'll grab you whatever you want in number 16. And he did it. I was able to pick up Mew for him at number 14, and he was able to trade me the mon I wanted. And this is gonna be my first round pick. Let's go right into it. This is gonna be Landorus T. Like, you're all of you will say like this is like a busted trade that I was heavily favored in, which is kind of true. Like I really wanted Landorus team. It's definitely better than a 14th pick in the draft, but Tyler didn't really want it, so he was a G and got me it. He wanted to try Mew again, so probably was a win-win situation for both of us. And like Landorus T is the mon that I have never used in Gen 7. I only used like once or like twice for like a combined amount of like 8 games or 10 games in Gen 6. So I'm definitely not the most polished user of Landity, most experienced guy. But I don't really care. Landorus T is busted. I will make it work. It's like one of the best mons in the format and arguably the best team player you can draft because like it fills so many different roles as a scarfer, as a breaker, as a cleaner, as a defensive pivot, as a rocker, as like whatever you want to do it does well. It's the best Z abuser or Z user in the game. One of the best rockers because it scares so much out. Has one of the best has one of the best abilities in the game with intimidate. Has a sick move pool. Has very nice potential as a special attacker if people expect you to run physically offensive Lando. It gets defog, which is nice for my draft. I definitely wanted to make sure that I draft a bunch of defoggers because I'm gonna draft a mon that is quad weeks to rocks that I'm like really hyped hyped about and hyped that I can use it. As like Landorus is well-rounded stats and like puts so much pressure on opponents when it comes to building that it's like gonna put in work even if it goes 0-1 every game. So definitely pretty hyped to have Landorus T, and I had a very solid plan for my draft after this pick, because I knew what kind of megas the guys behind me wanted. I was like constantly talking to them to see if anyone wanted to snipe me or not, and like we definitely had like a good good spot to draft, because Sebi and Eric were behind me. We're friends, and like we were talking a bunch of time like to see what everyone wanted. But I think I sniped Sebi once, but I didn't know, and I like had to get, and was like the backup to my backup because I got sniped again. So sorry, Sebi, didn't want to do it, but had to because it was an important one for my team. But anyway, I decided Lando T is nice, definitely, or arguably the best mon in the game. Um, like obviously we allow Magiana, which is by far the best mon in the game, but it's up there with like Celesteela for the best mon in the game that is allowed in every league. So definitely hyped to use it, to abuse the Z crystal on this thing. This time we did a point-based draft. I paid 18 points for Lander T, which is a lot because we only get 120 points, and obviously it takes 180 points of my Z points. We get 25 Z points, so I only can get 7-point mon or below as my secondary Z captain, but that's not big of a deal. Like I will spam Z Lando all season long probably, and like for the few moments where I run Scarf Lando or whatever, I got a mon that is a very nice Z abuser as well. So next up, I definitely wanted to get another U-turner, because like I felt like I had like the idea of the team that I want to like, and mons that I want to build around, and I wanted to have like some solid momentum, another defogger on my squad, and another mon that is like that pairs well with Lander just because they cover each other's weaknesses decently. This mon will cover up um, Lando's ice weakness, and obviously Lando will cover this mon's fire weakness kinda, because it checks physically offensive fire types very well. So I decided to grab Mega Scissor, nice U-turn core here already, as well as a second defogger, which is very important. Like Mega Scissor is like everyone knows what it does by now. It's like not the most versatile mon, but it has some nice moves up its sleeve. Sick attack, amazing bulk, physically and specially. Decent speed for a defensive pivot like this. Very dangerous setup sweeper with sword stance. Makes you choose between hidden power ice and hidden power fire, for Lando or Scissor, which is nice, and definitely puts a lot of pressure on my opponents when it comes to building, which I enjoy a lot. So that's kind of cool. Um, Very reliable defogger, which I didn't want it to draft like defog Sigilyph, which will never come to any game, but I wanted reliable defoggers for the mon that I drafted later, that can put in a lot of work once the field is is clear of hazard. So Scissor gives me that. Obviously, like it isn't like it has one of the best times in the game, but obviously another quad weakness is kind of questionable. But as I said, like because of the hidden power um, struggle that people will have, it definitely will either protect Landorus or will be freed up because of Landorus, which is really nice. So Scissor gives me nice priority in Bullet Punch, obviously. Overall, great offensive presence. Doesn't even like need investment. Like it has like hits 170 without investment. So if you if you go adamant, you got 187, which is more attack than most other mons already have, even if they are invested. So that's kind of clean. And yeah, like I don't know, Scissor does what Scissor does. It U-turns out, it bullet punches stuff into oblivion. It sets up a sword stance. It roosts off damage because it's so fat. Um, it checks Mammoth one, which is in my division, which is nice. And like yeah, it does like a solid job of supporting the team. Next up, I wanted some speed, because I knew like with my draft plan, my team is gonna be kinda slow. So I wanted one that hits a very nice speed tier and outspeeds most of the stuff in the game. So I decided to get Greninja. It also gives me spikes and T-spikes, which is nice. I used Greninja in the last 2 seasons in NPL already, but I'm not getting tired of this mon. It's a fantastic mon in the format. It was very expensive at 12 points, but because it's so good, we didn't want to leave it at 10 points pretty much. So I decided to let's make it 12, which is like probably what it's worth, because it's like just so versatile as an offensive threat, as a bulky support pivot thingy with spikes and T-spikes, taunt. Has sick coverage in Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, Grass Knot, Rock Slide if you need to hit a Talon Flame or something. Obviously, like, gets the fast spikes, as I said, which is super nice for my stuff, because U-turn abuse with those two offensive threats plus spikes is like super crucial. Even though I want to keep my field clear of hazards, if I don't need to do that, spikes can definitely put in quite some work. Gives me another U-turner, so we definitely got a nice U-turn, Volt turn theme going on, even though I didn't draft the Volt switch user. Gets Gunshot for fairies, obviously. Gets like Water Shuriken for some more priority, which I lack on the rest of my team, so that's kind of clean. Greninja, fun one to use, and one of my favorites definitely, and one of the best starters you can draft in the format, I think. And very happy to have it on the squad, but obviously we needed a defensive water type, and I got a mon that I have used a couple of times already in the ITL, but a mon that also gives me a super reliable defogger, and a mon that pairs amazingly defensively with Landorus, T, and Scissor, and this is Tapu Fini. Like, the defensive core of Landorus, Tapu Fini, and Scissor checks all of each other's weaknesses, which is nice. Yeah, like it does. Like the grass and poison weakness is covered by Scissor. Fini covers the fire weakness as well as the ice and water weakness of Landorus, and obviously the electric weakness is covered by Bigolando, so that's kind of clean. Super bulky mon, as you see on especially and physically defensive side. Great speed for support mon, which is kind of a theme I wanted to have. Like, I didn't want to have too many slow support mons, because this team is probably gonna be a lot about keeping up pressure on my opponent. It's a team that wants to control the hazard void, wants to keep pressure up by taunting, by U-turning, by volt switching, by firing off strong attacks, and definitely forcing opponents into tough spots defensively, and try to slowly whittle them down, and yeah, kind of fuck them up. But Tapu Fini with the fast taunt, the fast haste, the fast karma, and the fast defog, it definitely gives me all of that. It gets nice knockoff now. Gets Nature's Madness, which is a sick move to wear down stuff that like Landorus can't break on its own or can't OHKO on its own, but after Nature's Madness, really, regardless of how fat you are, you're not living a Z move from Land or T, so that's kind of clean. Gets screens, obviously, which is nice. Or like, it gets light screen. You know, it gets reflect as well, yeah. Moonblast, Scald, Hydro Pump, Surf, whatever. Ice Beam, very solid coverage, because like Fairy Water hits a lot of stuff decently hard. Has nice special attack at 95. Can Karma it up to be like really dangerous offensively. It gets Trick now, which is cool. I can run some clean Trick set, and obviously like it doesn't have the greatest move pool, but it definitely gets everything that I needed to. Like, most of the time I would just run like Nature's Madness or Moonblast plus Surf plus Taunt plus Defog or something like that. Like, it's a very simple set, but it's a set that puts in the work most of the time. Like, that's kind of clean. You can also get away with some choice sets. It makes for a very solid Scarfer, which is definitely something I wanted, because my team was going to be so slow. And like Scarf Fini, Scarf Landorus are two very solid Scarf users, as well as Scarf Greninja, so I'm not really worried about having a like kind of gap in my speed tiers or whatever. Next up, I wanted another Rocker, because I didn't want to run Rocks Lander all the time. I definitely wanted another Steel, so that Scissor isn't forced into the defensive role all the time. And I got Lele in my division as well as Magierna, so I had to draft another Steel to take the burden of Scissor to check. And I got one of the best checks to Magierna and Lele, and this is Bronzong. I've never used Bronzong in the format, but it's like just a fat bitch with a sick typing, great offensive presence, which is something I wanted from a wall in this with this team, because like I didn't want to play passive at all. Like, that's why I shied away from drafting Alomomola again, for example. I wanted to put up pressure with every mon that I have. Like, no mon on my squad can be abused by opponent setup, which is nice, because they all can pack a punch and like fuck shit up. Bronzong also gives me Trick Room if I want to draft a Trick Room abuser potentially, Like at this spot, I wanted to draft Snorlax, but that got sniped. Unfortunately, definitely wanted big legs, but couldn't grab it because it was sniped. And legs would have been a sick Z abuser for Big Zonga, but what can you do? Anyway, Zong gives me rocks, gives me a strong Dire Ball with this slow speed, gives me screens, gives me a Calm Mind user, gives me a Trick Room setter. Doesn't have like the best coverage, but this Earthquake dual stab, which is already nice. Obviously has hidden powers of its choice, which is decent with 79 special attack. Um, yeah, as I said, gives me Trick Room, gives me like some fun support moves that I could abuse, like Heal Block, for example, Hypnosis, Imprison, Metal Sound. But yeah, like definitely have to get comfortable with Bronzong, but I think it will put in quite some work defensively with the squad that I have. Like it just fits the defensive core that I have very well because like um, yes, it adds Dark and Ghost weakness, but obviously Dark is checked by this one. Knockoff is checked by this one, which is the most obvious Dark move that is gonna be aimed at Zonger, so I'm not really afraid. And like it definitely fills the important Lele check role in my division, which is definitely something I needed. And next up, I drafted a Mon that um, I thought it might fall to round 10 or 11 where I could draft it, but I didn't want to risk it because it's a mon that I want to use in the NPL for a while. Because it never got drafted in here, I think. And this is Volcarona, so now you know why I got the 3 defoggers here. And all the like Volta and bullshit going on, screen support and shit like that. Volcarona here, not a Z abuser, which is kind of unfortunate because Z Volk is busted. But Fat Volcarona is absolutely amazing. It can like set up on a bunch of stuff. It checks a lot of shit, like Magina, for example, defensively, which is nice. It's bulky enough to chew any one hit, other than obviously physical rock attacks. But this mon is like amazing as a win condition. Like last season, I didn't have like the best offensive win cons. Obviously, I had Gallade, but Gallade was too slow to um, always be a late game cleaner. And this time, like with Quiver Dance, Volk, and Sword Stance, Scissor, as well as Rock Polish Landers, I got 3 amazing win cons that can all profit from the breaking power of the other ones. Like Specs Volcarona is a fantastic breaker with some with some squads, so I'm not really afraid of having to like ship down shit too much. I just go to Specs Volk and click overeat or something. But obviously Quiver Dance Volk is a huge threat. You can usually run a lot of Vulcans on Volk to like get to +2 and 3, and then like outspeed stuff. You don't really have to run Timid Quiver Dance to outspeed bullshit as you like, for example, you have to do on Salamence because Salamence bulky DD is a set, but Salamence usually wants its three attacking slots alongside Dragon Dance, so you can't really afford to go with bulk and shit like that. But Volcarona usually only needs like dual stab or fire and grass coverage to do some shit. So I'm definitely gonna appreciate being bulky, having the opportunity to roost up. A +1 with equivalence up, especially attackers can't really break it anymore. So um, sick check to everything. It really appreciates the Misty Terrain support from Tapu Fini, as does Mega Scissor obviously, but like not having to worry about Toxics or Thunder Waves lets it set up, for example, on Roads of Wash, which is pretty crucial. um, it's another U-turn user, which is definitely something I could run on like a Scarf or Spec set because it scares so much stuff out just by its sick typing. And yeah, like you can run some bulky Will-O-Wisp support sets, obviously. You can run Tailwind support. You can run some like 3 attacks roost sets with a live orb or something. It can function as a cleaner, as a breaker, as a support mon, as a defensive mon, as a bulky pivot. Like Volcarona does everything you want it to do offensively and defensively as long as rocks aren't up. So I definitely gotta be mindful of hazards this season. But if I am, Volcarona will be one of the MVPs of the squad for sure. So next up, I wanted another ground type, another rocker, and a mon that I really had on my mind was Gastron, but that doesn't get rocks and got sniped. And then I was like, yeah, maybe Swampert, that got sniped, and now I'm like, there's another another one that is groundwater and appreciates like not having to worry about hidden powers, and this is Seismitoad. Speedy rocker, very bulky. Very solid offensive presence. Not the greatest stats all around, but a mon like with 2 to 3 good abilities. A solid move pool, even though it doesn't get like ice beam or shit like that, or no, it doesn't get waterfall. That's a problem with with this thing. But it also doesn't get ice beam. Doesn't get physical physical water step, which is super stupid. But it's a reliable rocker, nice toxic user. Has some tricks up its sleeve. Has very decent coverage. With like sludge wave to it fairies, obviously water, ground, ice, very nicely, very nice on Toad. Gets focus blast if I need it. Like I haven't used this yet, so I don't know all of its godly sets, but I will come in, like I will become comfortable with Seismic Toad for sure, and like Seismic Toad fits the squad fairly well. Yes, I got triple water, but Greninja doesn't really count as a water type because it's like an offensive water, so it doesn't count. And like Seismic Toad also helps thinning out by checking electric types and poison types, so this is nice. Very clean mon for my defensive core because it still has a very solid offensive presence. Gets knockoff as a support move and can fuck shit up. Also has like a nice water absorb ability here, which makes my opponents think twice about clicking Scald versus my mons, because that could get Seismitoad back in range. Anyway, next up I wanted a grass type. I contemplated like Serena because it's a spinner and shit like that, but that got sniped. I wanted Celebi for the longest time, but that got sniped. So I wanted Superior, but that got picked round 2. So I was like kinda handcuffed with the mons that I could try, and I had to pay 12 points for this mon here. And this is Shaman, but Shaman is like a great mon, like super bulky, obviously, like every base 100 all around mon. Great offensive presence. Like I think offensive Shaman is not abused enough in the format. Like offensive Shaman rarely has any switches. Like when I prep for Shaman and I have to prep for offensive, like I'm usually forced into some assault based bullshit or into like super specially defensive mons, which is kind of unfortunate. And I got like one of the best defensive checks to Shaman on my squad in Volcarona as well as Bronzong, so that's kind of clean. Yeah, it has a sick move pool, as I said, like it's Seed Flare, which is a stupid move, Earth Power, Dazzling Gleam, Air Slash. Gets Healing Wish support, which is super crucial for shit like Lando or Volcarona. Gets Leech Seed, obviously, as I said. Gets Endeavor, which is hot. Gets Quick Attack for some more priority. Has some physically offensive presence with Seed Bomb and bullshit like Zen Headbutt. But overall, it will probably be like a special attacker most of the time. Gets Synthesis or Rest plus Natural Cure, which is nice. Gives me another Status Absorber, which I don't really need because of Misty Search, but you can never have enough of those. So definitely clean here, and yeah, nice bulky grass type, which will be like probably one of the biggest glues on my team because it checks so much stuff defensively and like pressures shit out offensively, which is super nice. So pretty hyped for Shaman. After picking Shaman at 19 points left for 2 to 4 mons, we had to pick at least 10 and a max of 12 mons. And I'm like, yeah, what do I wanna get? And I decided I definitely wanted a dragon type, but there wasn't good stuff around. Like Gudra was like I wanted Gudra first, but then I was like, yeah, Nova, my boy, if you want it, you can grab it. Because you said like if I really want it, I can have it. But I was like, nah, just pick it if you wanted to go ahead. So like dragon types were gone pretty much, but I found this one here, this gem, the ice type gym leader getting Kyurem. Kyurem absolutely perfect for the squad. Gives me a nice bulky offensive mon, like absolutely insane bulk as you see, 125, 90, 90. Great speed at 95, it gives me another speed that I didn't have yet. Great offensive presence, obviously. Sick dual step, and it's a mon that absolutely loves Misty Terrain support because it can't get toxic. Yes, it likes to use toxic itself, but um, not having to worry about toxic itself is super nice. Also, it like doesn't really click dragon coverage too much, so um, the Misty Surge doesn't really hurt it, and like it helps it in a way that can lift Draco Meteors from shit like Hydreigon, for example. So that's kind of clean. I can just stay in on some threats and bot them with an Ice Beam, which is really nice. Gives me another great Scarfer, which is important for my team because I have this huge gap between Greninja and my base 100 mons. So I figured like having another good Scarfer could come in handy because like I'm forced into some Scarfs probably at some point this season um, just because they like opponents can abuse this the speed gap between Gran and Volcarona, which is kind of annoying. Sub-roost sets on Kyurem are super cool. There's Earth Power, obviously. Doesn't have like all the coverage Kyurem Black gets, but close to it. Gets nice outrage. I could bob shit with like banded outrage if I wanted to. Gets Psychic, gets Shadow Ball, gets Earth Power, as I said, Rock Slide for some shit like Talonflame. So it's like another mon that gets Endeavor for some odd reason, but obviously like it's most of the time we'll just pack Ice Beam plus coverage plus like Roost plus whatever. Very solid mon indeed, and really hyped to use it. And next up, I'm drafted the MVP, the future MVP of this squad. I definitely needed a Ghost immunity. I felt like because defensive Gran isn't like the best check to Ghost types, and I wanted the Fighting type because fighting type is like godly in the form. And I drafted Big Buddy Beware here, my second Z Crystal user. Such a Sigmon. Like, look at this design, look at this attack, and look at this bulk with the 120 HP, the fluffy ability. Like, some attacks will just bounce from Beware, so that's gonna be clean. Like, yes, you have fire weakness if you like run fluffy, but you can also run like Klutz or whatever, or Unnerve, which is nice because like then Chopper Berry mons can't counter me, which is pretty hot. You can run some really hot bulk up or SD sets, or like specially defensive bulk up sets with Rest Talk, for example. Gets Taunt, gets Sword Sense, gets Shadow Claw for Ghosts, gets Toxic, which is cool, gets Pain Split for some semi-reliable recovery, gets Facade if I want to stay in on the Scald, gets Drain Punch for recovery, which is kind of cool. Has some hot moves in Fling, like not Fling and Flail. If I like run around like an Endure Flail set, which is kind of cool with a Select Berry, that could come in handy. Gets Roleplay if I wanna steal some hot abilities. Obviously, like doesn't have the greatest move pool, but Dual Stab plus Earthquake plus Shadow Claw plus Ice Punch is enough for Beware to put in work, and this is a very nice defensive check to some physical threats, which is huge. So yeah, this is Big Buddy Beware here, my 10th and last mod on the squad. I'm definitely hyped to use it. And yeah, this is the squad for season 6 of the NPL. We got Lando T, we got Mega Scissor, we got Gran, we got Finny, we got Big Zonga, we got Volcarona, we got Big Toad. Nice Shaman here, nice Kyurem, and obviously Big Buddy Beware, the god himself, the future MVP of the NPL, maybe. And yeah, that's the squad. Not sure like how much I like it because it got sniped off a bunch of mods that I really wanted, but what can you do? So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the squad. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. If you enjoyed, leave a like as always, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.